The Las Vegas Aces had a banner raising, looking like they have a chance to do it again. Matthew Walter, amazing beat reporter who covers the Aces for the Next, is here to talk to me all about it and all about his reporting. Locked on Women's Basketball starts now.
Ogunbowale for the win.
You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to Locked On Women's Basketball. I'm your host, Howard Megdal, and I want to thank you for making us your first listen every day. We've been unbelievably gratified to go north of 100,000 listeners in April alone. We are beating that in May. So for all of you, part of growing the game together with us, 6 podcasts a week, I really appreciate you. And so does our entire staff, the undiverse group at the Next, building every day over 100 reported pieces every single month. Go to thenexthoops.com. We're still running this 27% off our normal rates of $9 a month or $72 a year. The money goes towards supporting the work, writers who show up, writers who cover, photographers, editors who do this work all the time. We are present. We are part of making sure you know the story every single day. And that is why Matthew Walter, who covers the Las Vegas Aces for us, traveled to Vegas, was in the building for a banner raising. The Las Vegas Aces, of course, the 2022 WNBA champions. We're going to talk in segment 1 about what that felt like, how that resonated. Segment 2 is going to be about how the fact is they're looking like they have a real opportunity to do it again in 2023. But Matthew, take me through, if you can, just when you close your eyes, what are those first impressions you have out of that night? You wrote a wonderful piece about it. People can see over at thenexthoops.com.
Yeah, I think it starts with the fact that the Aces did a great job of just trying to make everyone, every fan, every person feel involved. They sold out their ring night. They had Anita Baker sing the national anthem. They brought Coi Leray to do the halftime show. And again, all the players, having never seen these rings before, all were in such awe to get their rings. And, there's only, I think, one player on the Aces when they were giving out rings who had already won a ring, and that was Chelsea Gray. Everybody else was getting their ring for the first time in their career. Asia Shepherd was there. She came back after being cut to get her ring. Dearica Hamby, obviously now on the Sparks, but because they played the Sparks, she got her ring, got to celebrate that with her daughter and her newborn son. So it was just an awe-inspiring moment for all of them, right? They all just looked so happy, so excited to see what they were getting. And the thing that caught my eye was the banner that they raised right next to their one retired jersey. You know who that belongs to? Their now head coach, Becky Hammond. So the fact that they put the banner right next to the head coach's jersey, the one player whose jersey they retired, and A'ja Wilson got very emotional when that banner was revealed. And I asked her, she said, it just brought back all of the feelings, all the emotions of winning the championship the year ago. And the Aces are really leaning into it. Everything promotion-wise, everything involving, their on-court stuff, their in-game entertainment, everything. They're the champions. We're the champions. Just really leaning into this idea. It's the first championship in Las Vegas history. We won a championship with this group, and really trying to just continue to bring that vibe. And even the media lanyard that I was given that has my credential on it says champions on it. So they really are just trying to sell the idea that they won this championship. The rings are 560 plus diamonds. Just they really went all out in trying to show the players, show the city that they are the champions and they want to be celebrate that.
You're saying the rings are subtle and understated. I understand. Yes, that makes sense. It is worth taking note for a moment. A'ja Wilson, I remember talking to A'ja right after she got to the league. And for her, championship, that was the pinnacle. These individual accolades, awards, MVP, you name it, it wasn't what she was most interested in. She was most interested in finding a way to win it all. And so for her to have that culmination, again, it goes back to, and it's the thing that's so fascinating about her career. she's done so many things that you go back and you say, these are like lifetime achievements. Obviously, to me, among others, the fact that there is a statue dedicated to her on the South Carolina campus. But in so many ways, of course, she was only drafted in 2018. She is on the young side of 30 years old with years to spare. She turns, of course, 27 in August. And so for Asia, now that she's won this championship, it doesn't seem to have, it certainly hasn't affected her production, but it certainly doesn't seem to have affected her drive in any way. What do you get from her as to what is driving her to continue this when there's so many things that she can point to, that are the types of things people say someday when they're on their rocking chairs?
She wants another one. She said it. She said, we want to build a dynasty here. We want to be one of the all-time great teams in the WNBA history. And that's, what drives her, right? She said, I'm treating this season just like I treated last season, just like I've treated every season. I'm going to, act the same way, do the same things, and pretend like I'm going for my first one again, because I know what it takes. But she even quoted Steve Kerr and said, the second one's always hardest. Is harder, the second, the third, the times you try to go after you get that first one, because now you know what it takes. And that it is a difficult grind. And sometimes you have that first one and you're like, okay, I have it. Maybe I don't want to do the difficult stuff as much anymore. And she's not like that. We are going to grind. This is not a slowing down. This is a speeding up. They are trying to continue to do and even get to a better level, a higher level than they were last year. And the drive is there. You talk to her at any media availability, anytime, she has the same mentality, the same mindset. Nothing has changed for her. She may have even gotten more locked in. And she's excited because she, like many Aces players, didn't play in the offseason, didn't go overseas. So these first couple of games back for her, she's like, I've just been missing basketball so much. I just wanted to play. I wanted to get out there. And so just having all these games, for her has been excellent, just to not only get in game shape, but just to play basketball again, something I think she clearly has missed. And like you said, she's young. She's 27. She's been fairly healthy her entire career, and I don't see her slowing down anytime soon.
She's not even 27. She'll be 27 in August. It's crazy, right? I mean, to think of what she has done so far, it is astonishing. And, again, I can't help but think in those arts, right, in what a player is able to do. And if she gets championship number 2 here, and we're talking about a legacy that includes an NCAA title and another Final Four there, and an MVP and 2 championships.
Two MVPs.
Two MVPs, and now potentially a second championship, even if she doesn't get a third MVP, right? Let's say it's just 2 MVPs
and a Defensive Player of the Year.
And a Defensive Player of the Year. Again, it's only one podcast. We can't list all the things. I mean, how many Player of the Week awards has she won too? So you put it all together and you just say, and God help us, I hope she doesn't. But if she would have retired tomorrow, that's a Hall of Famer. And the idea that we're saying that, even as we're pointing out, her 27th birthday is in August, is just an incredible legacy already. But yeah, no, like you said, that's what my impression is as well, is that this is somebody who is in no way resting on her laurels. And when you talk about the Aces being even better in 2023, obviously, we'll get to that even more in segment 2. But what is the experience like on the fan stadium side? Do you feel, when you hear the fans, do you feel when you see people there that there is a carryover effect, the way there so often is from a championship? Is there a greater excitement than what you were seeing there a year ago?
Yeah, I mean, their ring night had their second most fans ever. The only time they had more was in their finals game against Connecticut in game 1. And mind you, that was game 5 of the Western Conference Finals of the NHL, featuring the Golden Knights at home. So those 2 events were at the same time, and they still had their second biggest crowd in the history of their franchise since they've moved to Las Vegas. And I think just people, they love this team, right? Asia Wilson, Kelsey Plum, Jackie Young, Chelsea Gray, those 4 get so much cheers. Sydney Colson gets almost as many cheers as those 4 players anytime she plays. Kirsten Bell, same thing. Like, they love this group. They love this team. And the fans also, like, even though De'Erica Hamby left, they love her. She was out before the game on the ring night, signing autographs, taking pictures with fans. But there were so many young kids in this first weekend when I was there screaming Kelsey Plum's name. I actually got on the plane back to come back to where I live and met 4 Division II players who went out to see the Aces play because they'd never seen a WNBA game, and they wanted to get out to see the Aces play at some point before they finished their college career. So many people love Kelsey Plum. So many people love Chelsea Gray, Asia Wilson, and they do a great job of being a part of the fan base. Asia Wilson, after their game against Lynx, went out and handed some T-shirts to a couple of fans who were a little bit higher up than where she could reach them if they were like courtside. Just she's so engaged with the fan base, so engaged with the people in the Vegas area, and they love them so much. So many young girls at these games wanting to be involved with this team, and I think they're doing a great job of showing the next generation what women's basketball can be.
Yeah. Asia Wilson always walks the walk, doesn't just talk the talk. Well, we're going to talk about the way in which she and her Aces teammates, even the new ones, are walking the walk in segment 2. First, going to go ahead and tell you guys about FanDuel, which has a great offer available to those who are listening to the podcast. There's a no sweat first bet of up to, you ready? $2,500. So if you bet up to $2,500, you get that much back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. You get to use the safe and secure app, get paid instantly, and there are, of course, among that, other promotions as well every single day. So visit fanduel.com/lockedon, that's LOCKEDON, and get a no sweat first bet of up to $2,500. That's fanduel.com/lockedon. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. So obviously they didn't play a lot of the Aces players this offseason, and clearly they're rusty. I think that's why they've been struggling so much here in the early going, just a lack of reps, right? They are only 4-0. They only have a margin of victory of 87.5 points on average per game. I mean,
it's not that much, but it's pretty close. It's their point differential through 4 games is like plus 99.
Yeah. I shouldn't even joke about it. I think like the actual number is like 24.5. It's this absolutely absurd thing. And who could have predicted, right, that adding Candace Parker and Alicia Clark to that group would lead to a team that's incredibly difficult to beat. But I will say this, and this is the part that is fascinating. Early on, there's the challenge of incorporating folks, right? You saw it in New York. New York has an incredible talented roster up and down and are going to be just fine. I thought it was very funny when people thought they wouldn't be just fine after game 1. But in game 1, they scored 64 points. They lost their opening game. We have seen no sign of that in Las Vegas. That didn't even have their head coach on the sideline for the first 2 games because Becky Hammon was suspended. So take me through how it's happened this way. What is it that's making them so dominant right away?
So I think the first thing is Alicia Clark and Candace Parker could fit on almost any team, right? Just with the skill set that they have. And there's no pressure on either of them, right? They're both veterans. They're up in their 30s now. They're not asked to be the heavy lifters. The heavy lifters are the 4 players who I think, other than maybe Chelsea Gray, who just turned 30, are 30 or younger. The 4 players who won some form of a trophy a year ago, they're going to do the majority of the heavy lifting. And Candace Parker is just asked, use your basketball IQ, knock down your open shots, be a big body, rebound, space the floor, be very basketball smart, which she is at a whole other level. And I think her experience playing with Chelsea Gray, playing with Raquana Williams, having some, people that she's played with, and as crazy as it sounds, as good as they are offensively, I don't think the Vegas offense is difficult to understand. It's a lot of reads. It's a lot of letting players play in space with freedom. And because they have such good shooters on the floor, you have to make a choice as a team. Who are you going to leave open? And that is almost impossible because you have 3 or 4 40% three-point shooters on the perimeter and people who can really create not only for themselves, but for their teammates. Alicia
Yeah.
Clark,
No,
and
no,
I made
please
this
go.
hot take among our staff, she might be more important to the Aces this year than Candace Parker. And that sounds
Right.
crazy, but Alicia Clark, I never really watched her play in person. Just she does everything at such a high level. Nothing is outstanding, but everything is so incredibly well done. She's consistent at everything she does. She talks on defense every possession, every moment of the game, and she knocks down the three ball. It's in and out of her hands so fast, and she'll take a ball, she'll catch it at her ankles and be able to knock it down, which most really good shooters struggle with that, and she does it at such a high level. And you can tell she's so much more comfortable with that foot injury. She looks 100%. She's attacking the basket. She's not just being a spot up shooter. And I think the Aces group, right? It's really easy for people to come in and fit in. It's a great group chemistry wise. They all get along very well. A lot of smiling. Sydney Colston brings a lot of energy. I think Kirsten Bell is bringing a lot of energy. I think Kayla George even is bringing this sort of almost mom like energy to the team. And it's just a group that it's not hard to where people are going to get in like feuds and they're going to get upset with each other. I don't think anyone on this team really cares about like who has the success, who's getting all the points. I think they care about winning. And I think that's Becky Hammond just putting confidence in every person on this team. And they all could go out there and I don't think they would care. And any one of them could have 20 and they'd all be happy for that person.
Yeah,
And
I mean, it is clear. My concern coming in was not on the ego side of things, given what we know about Candace, given what we know about Alicia Clark. My concern was how do you fit from a basketball specific perspective? And it's interesting, by the way, just to first touch on briefly, Alicia Clark is incredibly efficient in her movements. That's the thing that I always take away most from her game. Her game has so much to respect. But the fact that, like you said, there's no wasted motion. And the fact that she's able to do that at a faster speed now that she is fully healed from that injury is a wonderful thing and is a tribute to the work that she has put in. And so, again, that fit always made sense. But it is notable to me, two things. Number one, I wondered whether A'ja Wilson and Candace Parker, who get so much of their production offensively at similar spots on the floor, would be able to coexist easily offensively. And so I do want to point out, because I think this is notable for a couple of reasons. A'ja Wilson's numbers are about where they've always been. If anything, she's a little bit more efficient. She's 54% from the field. She's, doing what A'ja Wilson has done historically. Candace is not. It's 4 games. It doesn't matter. It's not anything definitive. It doesn't tell us what will happen. But she has not yet found her stride offensively. She's shooting 32.3% from the field, which is very un-Candace-like. What that also says to me, though, is that was going to take time. Over time, they're going to figure that out, which means the ceiling on what the Aces can be is somehow higher than this 4-0 team that's crushing people by an average of 387 points per game. So like that, if anything, are we looking at a floor? This is probably a floor for what the Aces can be, which is sort of a remarkable thing to consider when you look at the numbers they're putting up.
Yeah, and I also think at this point in her career, I don't know how much Candace is like trying to be like, I need to score every night. I think
Right.
she understands her role with this group. And like I said, she's the old vet on this team. She's there because she adds another dimension that they didn't have last year, because she has ability to shoot the ball, because she can do so much on both sides of the floor, because she has such a high basketball IQ. She doesn't need to go out there and put up 15 to 20 points a game. She can put up 10 and just sort of fit in where she needs to. And they would be just fine because, like I said, the other four, 25 to 30-year-olds will do the rest of the heavy lifting for this Aces team. She doesn't need to do excessively large number of things. And I think she's okay with that. I think, she said, she chose to come to Las Vegas. She did it because she's looking for someplace closer to family. And I think she's trying to get another championship.
I think everyone's okay with it. I think the Aces are okay with it. I think Kansas is okay with it. She's clearly been deferential. I've even talked to folks who are talking about that Candace in practice is very much like, all right, what do you need from me? Where do you need to be to get the ball to Asia. In other words, she's come in
Mhm.
with that attitude. It's a championship attitude.
Mhm.
It's not a surprise to
Mhm.
anyone who's ever covered Candace Parker for even a minute. This is what
Mhm.
she is and what she does. However, her numbers, not just in terms of points per game, her efficiency numbers may drop. Now, you're never going to convince me she's going to shoot 32% for the season. She's still Candace Parker. So she's going to figure it out, and that's going to go up over time. But it doesn't have to go up over time to like Candace putting up 20 points per game. It's more like Candace coming in, and in the minutes she's getting is giving you 40 to 45% shooting from the field as she finds her spots on the floor more, and they may not need it. That's the point. They may
Mhm.
not need it. They might. This is a team that looks like they could win a championship with Candace Parker shooting 32.3% from the field, which is not going to happen. That's the point that I make. I do, though, want to highlight you talked about, the reigns and how it was new to so many people. But it's not new to the ring winner herself, Kiah Stokes, who wins that WNBA championship after winning overseas. She is obviously valued by this team. I need to look this up, but I wonder because through 4 games, Kiah Stokes is averaging 2.3 points per game, but she's doing it in 20.3 minutes a game. She's averaging 8 rebounds a contest. She is clearly valued by this team. I'd love to know the last time somebody averaged 20 minutes or more per game in the league, scoring fewer than 3 points per game. That's a query I'm going to have to look up. I'll bring it to tomorrow's show. But it, the point being, they also don't need Kiah Stokes to essentially score at all. She does a lot of other really important things. And I don't think it is coincidental that she has 2 championships on 2 teams she's played for in the last year.
Yeah, no, and then that's everybody knows what their role is on this team, right? Everybody knows Kiah Stokes is there for two things: rebounding and defense. And I think, like you said, she has 8 rebounds a game. I'm pretty sure she's somewhere in the top 5 of the league in blocks per game too right now, because she has been really doing a great job of guarding the basket when she comes into the game. So I think that's the thing about this group is everybody knows what they're supposed to do. The roles are very defined, and nobody is like upset with the role that they play because they just like how the team fits, how they're playing together. And like I said, on any night, anybody can go off and everybody's going to be happy for that person. To start the season, it's been Jackie Young, who's been absolutely just crushing it for this Aces team. But I think we wouldn't be surprised if at some point Kelsey Plum has a run like this, or Asia Wilson has a run like this, or Chelsea Gray or Candace, and everybody's going to be happy for that person, no matter who it is, because all they care about is knowing that this is the role, they're going to win games, and that they get the freedom, and no one is going to tell them not to do what they do out on the floor, especially on the offensive end.
It is awfully early, and like you said, I agree with you. I think there'll be ebb and flow. Different people have big games. Defenses will respond, but I I think the MVP conversation starts with Jackie Young at this point through 4 games. And Jackie Young by win shares was the 6th most valuable player in the league last year. Jackie Young is somehow massively better than she was last year through 4 games, 23 points per game, 61.8% from the field. She is shooting 56.5% from 3 on almost 6 attempts per game, like she's Chelsea Gray in the playoffs or something. It is an incredible thing to see. And I guess, that's the other part of it, right? When we talk about Asia's legacy, Asia's building her legacy around championships. But you certainly know that Asia Wilson wouldn't mind a bit if, say, over the next few years, Jackie Young won a couple of MVPs to go along with hers, but it meant at the end of the day, that team was winning a championship.
Yeah, not at all. And I think for Jackie Young, right, she just goes out there and does everything. And it's never like we see a lot of like emotion from Jackie Young. She's not this big emotional player like we see from Kelsey Plum or Asia Wilson. She just does everything at such a high level and just stays so calm and collected. And she started the other game not shooting very well, the game against the Lynx, and she found her rhythm. And she's someone who clearly the confidence that Becky Hammon has just exuded into her has just made her this incredibly, different player, and someone who just has worked so hard on her basketball ability, especially like you said, that 3-point shooting, but just everything she does, right? Attacking the basket, playing defense. It's just all come at such a high level over these last couple of years. And I think all the work that she's put in has finally sort of come to the right situation, and now she's just blossoming in front of our eyes in what that she can do, because she can do everything. I think she can score at the basket, she can shoot the mid-range, she can knock down the three, she can guard your best perimeter player, she can rebound, she can create for other people. There's not one thing she can't do, and she puts up numbers where, like I said, she's 23 points a game, 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals. Like, she does a little bit of everything. And like you said, 56% from 3, like 60+% from the field. Is there one thing she can't do? No, because she has that ability, and her body and her mindset just fits a perfect wing player that can do a little bit of everything.
I remember Muffet McGraw said to me back when Jackie Young was in college that she has a chance to be the best player in the history of the Notre Dame program. That really caught my attention at the time. That was not something that a lot of people believed, but Muffet McGraw, what she said.
Think about who she was playing with. Think about who she was playing with on that Notre Dame team. Yeah. I think all of her teammates from that one team are now in the WNBA and all play significant minutes for their team.
Marina Mabry, Arike Grumbawale, Jessica Shepard. Who was the center?
Brianna Turner. Brianna Turner.
Dang, Brianna Turner. Oh my God.
Brianna Turner. That was the team, if I'm not correct, that won the championship. I think Jess Shepard got hurt that year, or wasn't on the team but then Arike won it with those championship big shots.
The one in 2018 came within a hair's breadth of doing it again in 2019. One of the great unsung teams, quite frankly, of recent history in college basketball. But make sure you see everything that is being sung by Matthew Walter over on Twitter at MatthewWalter96. If you are listening instead of watching, that's how you follow. Make sure you're following all the work that he is doing about the Las Vegas Aces, and of course, during the college season as well. And Matthew, is delightful to chat with you. Very much looking forward to continuing to chat about this team. I have a feeling the Aces might be relevant this season, so we might have to have you back on the show.
I think so. I think the plus 99 point differential might be a lot higher by the end of the season.
I think that is very true. Well, make sure you tune in tomorrow. We've got Bridget Carlton coming here to chat all things Minnesota Lynx, all things Canada basketball. Looking forward to that and having Bridget back on the show as well. Until then, I am Howard Megdal, wishing all of you a wonderful Wednesday.
Ogunbowale for the win.
Good! You are Locked On Women's Basketball, your daily podcast on women's basketball.